Hey everybody, welcome to the channel today. So what's this video about? Who's this for? This video is about righteousness, and it's for people that are caught up in righteousness. It's that simple. And oftentimes you're so caught up in righteousness, you don't even know that you're caught up in it. And basically what's that mean? You know, you're right. You know better. And what happens is usually it means we cling on to the negative, we stuck in the past, obviously we're right. Obviously, come on, who else? Hello, we're right. And it's just a crappy place to live. So I used to live in righteousness all the time. I basically think I knew everything. I'm trying to be as honest as I can in these videos, just knew everything. And then, as I talked about in some of the other videos, I did my 12 steps. I met that gentleman that I spent time with to go over this 12 steps, and he's like, okay, so your wife doesn't really like you. Your marriage isn't going well. You don't have a job. You don't have any money. You're in debt. You seem to be angry at pretty much everything. You smile a lot, but come on, like, what are you doing? So, I did the steps, and I really, really went into the learnings of the 12 steps. And one thing is just to clean up your side of the street and to let go of knowing, let go of righteousness. And then sometimes what they'll say in recovery is that you'll revisit those places that you used to live in. You'll revisit those towns. So last week I had an incident where I went somewhere, and something I love to do. And the guy, I went there, and then one of the administration was like, you can't do it. And I basically threw a tantrum like a child. Essentially. And then I went and reflected on it, and I was like, oh, I was a little righteous. And then I woke up in the morning and I did something even worse. I called them to complain, like 2 levels above the person that had done the thing to me that I deemed wrong. And I just couldn't believe my behavior. So then, well, not in the moment, actually, of course I was right. So I was like, it was awful. My stomach and how my head was feeling. And anyways, so, I get off the phone, and I took a deep breath in. Actually, I talked to one of my best friends a second later, and I talked to him, told him what happened, and he just laughed. He said, man, come on. And I was like, oh no, I did it. I visited the town of righteousness. And I just knew, and I took a deep breath in. I felt awful. About an hour, I felt horrible, so bad. And then I called the person back to apologize, make amends, as we say in recovery. And shockingly enough, they didn't pick up. But I did make that effort. And then I reflected on it for the rest of the day to make sure I cleaned up my side of the street. And I was like, man, like, what a gift. What an awful experience that I was rude to that person on the telephone, and then I was rude to the people that said I couldn't do the thing that I wanted to do. But I don't live there anymore. I just visited that town, and I was like, hell yeah. Hell yeah, I don't live in that town anymore. And I felt so blessed not being in that town. And took a lot of work to get to the point where I didn't think I was right and I didn't know best. And that's pretty amazing. And when you put in the work, when you do the work of recovery, when you do the spiritual work, when you do your active acceptance, and you're taking full responsibility for your thoughts, feelings, speech, and actions, and when you're open to be guided, when you know that there's something bigger at play in this world. And again, guys, this is just my opinion. If you don't, if you're not down with this, you click away. But if this is for you, stick around and listen, because it's helped me so much. So you look into it. How can you be more happy, joyous, and free? So for me, I turn to knowledge from the past. I always look to what's been around for thousands and thousands of years, what's helped people. Yesterday I was reading some of the Stoics. I was reading some Seneca. One thing I really, of course, being part of the Art of Living Foundation, and Sri Sri Ravi Shankar as my spiritual teacher, I really, turn to Art of Living, to Sri Sri for that knowledge. So I read this book and listen to this knowledge series a lot, Ashtavakra Gita. So then that night I listened to Ashtavakra, and then I read it the next day. And then this was the passage that I really thought was amazing, from Without Conflict, Rejoice in Self, page 82. What is the root of your conflict with people around you? Have you ever observed what the root is? I like this. I want this. I am somebody. I am the authority. People should listen to me. People should respect me. People should allow me. That was what I was super guilty of and being righteous of. People should allow me that day. People should regard me. Everyone else should follow and understand because I am decent, I am right. And I am also telling them for their good to set it right. I am also telling them for their good to set it right. People go around to set people right. What are you going to set right? The stiffness and resistance in you prevents you from bowing down to yourself. Because you are not bowing down to yourself, you have not surrendered the infinity that is you. So that stiffness is what takes us away from our true infinity. It's the present moment. And for me, as a basketball fan, the easiest thing is just talk about Steph shooting threes or Caitlin Clark shooting threes. Caitlin or Steph are shooting threes. They are in infinity, and they bring all the people in the world in with them because it's just they're in the moment, and it's so huge. It's so massive, and that's why we love sports so much. And it comes across in other things. Gardening is a huge one. The ocean, hiking, something bigger than ourselves. But when we get caught up in that stiffness, and when I get caught up in that stiffness of that righteousness, there's no infinity, there's no expansion, there's nothing. So I just wanted to, this channel is all about being raw and honest, help us live more happy, joyous, and free. Face our challenges, our demons. And for one of me, it's righteousness, knowing. I visited that town that day and I didn't really enjoy what happened, but I called to make amends. And that's all I can do. And if I see the person in the future, I definitely will obviously take full accountability, full responsibility, and say sorry. And then one of the benefits was the next day, and I believe these are the whispers, these are the some people call them coincidences, but I don't think they are. And a friend came over and we hadn't talked about something for 6 months, and then he knocked on my door and we had a cup of tea and we discussed something, and it was so beautiful because I was open and we got to move something completely different, a completely different part of my life. But I had really, I'd listened to Ashtavak, reflected, prayed, done all those things. So I don't know what your way is, but if you're stuck in righteousness, you're the only one that's going to be feeling horrible. You're the one that feels awful. And you could be caught there for 5 minutes, a day, a week, a year, years, decades, your whole lifetime. But I just know that it's, in my personal experience, leaving the town of righteousness and knowing and being open to be guided and be open to that infinity is a much better way to live. Subscribe, like the channel, and comment, all those good things. All right. Bye, everybody. Have a great one.